So lately it's been pretty blatant that these billion-dollar industries like games and movies have been trying to get us to spend our money through nostalgia baiting. Taking what we know and love from the past, those warm and loving memories for us, and just milking it for a quick buck. But we also live in a time with unprecedented marketing like scrolls in real life news reports. Do you also remember the killer clowns from a couple years ago? That was for it. And those leaks from No Way Home that showed off all three Spider-Man and Matt Murdock, you cannot change my mind. That was not a leak, that was all marketing. But what if we take both of these things, nostalgia baiting and real world marketing occurrences, and mesh them together? The first thing that comes to mind is a game called Dark Void. Usually around the time of Dark Void's release, there would only be like a couple TV spots, maybe a gameplay featurette, and Dark Void had these in the variety of generic. But Capcom did something a little different here. They developed a retro game that was supposed to be lost to time. And dude, thank God they did, because Dark Void is just not that good. Dark Void Zero was released as DSiWare and was supposed to be a long lost to time game. There was article after article written about Dark Void Zero, but they were all fake.
You are fake news.
Sir, keep in mind, this was all the way back in 2010. The only bigotry in the gaming landscape was whether you were PlayStation or Xbox. Disney didn't milk nostalgia for everything that it's worth, and we had a president that could finish a sentence with an 8th grade reading level.
Included groundbreaking Asian Americans like Vera Wang and Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce her. Shanga.
It was Nirvana. All these articles in Dark Void Zero were meant to build hype around Dark Void. People wanted to know more about this game. This ended up being a Metroidvania game, and it was actually pretty good. You play a guy named Rusty. Of course I've got a name for a main character, it's just I can't get into my apartment, the door's rusty. Hey, you want to name him what? Unfortunately, it ended up biting Capcom in the ass, as Dark Void Zero was received a lot better than Dark Void.
Now that is irony!
And I gotta admit, I kinda get it. Dark Void Zero is a great Metroidvania with simple yet fun gameplay and one of the most unique startups I have ever seen to a game.
That's cool. That's just so cool.
It's pretty difficult too, but you want to get better at it. And I'm gonna be totally honest, I never even got past like the first level of this game. I'm not really too into Metroidvanias, I'm not a real hardcore gamer as I let on. But this long lost to time, not really DSiWare game is what inspired the reboot. I think this also came out around the same time as the Bionic Commando reboot. Could this be a cult classic, or should it have just been lost to time? Based on the reviews that Dark Void got, I'm not really excited to play this. But now I'm 25 and I got 3 whole chest hairs. Dark Void was developed by Airtight Games, and this is kind of unfortunate. This game may as well have just laid out the company's grave before they even learned to walk. Airtight Games only released 5 games after Dark Void, and the last one was in 2014. Yeah, I'm being kind of harsh right now, but to be fair, if you let me play as someone with a jetpack or a cool helmet, I don't care what your game is about, you already have my attention. But Dark Void couldn't even keep its own attention. Capcom expected way too much from Dark Void. They expected to sell 2 million units the first year and only got 520K. Ooh. And there was also supposed to be a tie-in movie with Brad Pitt. Who wants to see that? But Dark Void was also delisted June 27th, 2022, and then just short of a year got brought back on the Steam store June 3rd, 2023, and they still couldn't get rid of the secure ROM. This is such a pain in the ass right here. And if you're wondering why this is such a pain in the ass, it's because I can't start the fucking game. I need some serial number that I don't have access to, or I just don't know where it is. After browsing through some Steam community tabs, it told me to just contact Capcom customer support. That's a lot of but like, what the f? Just let me play the game. I clearly own it. It's from Steam. If you're wondering how to not go through all this, just right click the game, go to manage, CD keys, and then it's right there. I bet you're wondering though, why did I give Dark Void a chance after all of this? It's because I didn't want to play Dishonored. And I didn't feel like setting this up just yet. So, the game finally starts and you're using a jetpack, and this was Really cool. This hooked me instantly. You're playing as... Actually, I have no idea who this is. I'd love to say the main character, but it doesn't look like him, and he's never mentioned again. But this guy's squad gets ambushed, so you gotta fend them off, and then it just cuts to a...
1 week later.
Out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure they meant to say 1 week earlier, right? Actually, it's not. It's meant to be a 1 week later screen, because later on in the game, it says 7 weeks later. What's up with the Dark Void timeline?
Well, that's just lazy writing.
Airtight Games Dark Void has you playing... Hold on, let me just grab my Mormon white boy name generator. Will. And now the Mormon white girl name generator. So you may sense a bit of familiarity here, and that's because the developers are actually inspired by a movie from the 1990s, The Rocketeer. That's not a good sign. Will is a pilot, but as him and Ava are flying over the Bermuda Triangle. Dude, next it's gonna be quicksand. Quicksand is the most dangerous thing on the face of the earth, and your odds of running into it are very, very slim. You probably think the way I'm acting right now, there's quicksand everywhere. No, you will never run into it. Stay away from it. You will die! His plane is suddenly taken to a place between places with robots and aliens stalking the terrain wanting to kill you. It might be Toledo, Ohio, I don't know. These robots and aliens are known as the Watchers, and the game tells you practically nothing about them. They try to force in some kind of Destiny bullshit in the story, and it just doesn't work out. And these aliens are just here, to be an antagonist. You know nothing about them, you know nothing about their culture, they're just there. I do think they have a cool design, though. It's actually kind of cool. One thing that I guess is important is the relationship between Will and Ava, because they used to be married, but unfortunately got a divorce.
Mac and cheese, mac and cheese.
Bro, do they just not change their clothes? Will focused too much on keeping himself safe and not going back to deployment. This leads the Knocketeer to get a dishonorable discharge. Ava leaves him for Captain America or something. I don't know. She just loves true patriotism. Will and Ava's ship crashes and they end up separating, and this would have been really cool if I had my jetpack. This completely halts any momentum Dark Void had. I feel like I went from Iron Man to Hawkeye, and the game wants to make you feel bad for this stupid low-paw Canadian motherfucker who dies. I don't even know his name. He had maybe 3 lines, and you could tell he wasn't meant to be important at all because look at him. This is the most phoned in metric system using in-game model I have ever seen. Not to mention the fact that this game from 2010 can't handle being ran on a 2060 at 1080p 120 FPS. I had to go all the way down to 720 30 FPS with dynamic shadows off, but it just ended up looking the same.
You serious?
God, nothing can save your eyes from how awful these textures look. Even from 2010, Dark Void looks rough. And these animations, eek! Imagine just hanging out with your buddy and you guys act like this. At least the death animations are funny. Keep in mind, around the time of Dark Void's release, we had games like Assassin's Creed 2, Modern Warfare 2, Uncharted 2, Red Dead Redemption, God of War 3, Batman Arkham Asylum. We had fantastic looking games around this time, and we just get decent GameCube. Let's just talk about something good from the game. I need a palate cleanser. So remember what I said about having the jetpack taken away from you? Well, they give it back about 30 minutes later, and this is the only fun to be had in the game. I hate how much better the flight is in Dark Void than it is playing as Iron Man in Marvel's Avengers. How did Square Enix f that up? It actually feels pretty intuitive. With the mere press of a button, you could go from just hovering to boost flight, and it's really cool. And you don't need to claw grip your controller. It's pretty impressive, actually. You also get to shoot pew pew out of your jetpack, and it makes it even more fun. I will say, definitely don't go full boost flight in just any environment, unless you want to see even more funny animations. The developers knew exactly what they were doing by having you fly around for most of the game. Hell, while in flight, you can also hijack the alien ships and take control. And this is pretty cool. But I just found it a lot easier with the jetpack. One of my favorite aspects of the game is just using the jetpack in a shootout. Not only are the guns attached to your jetpack really powerful, you can also use it to create your own leverage with the robots and maneuver around their cover. Now, If they had better AI, this would be a lot more fun, but they don't, so it's just kind of okay. There are movie tie-in games with smarter enemy AI than there is in Dark Void. At least the gunplay is halfway decent. It's baby's first Gears of War.
Dad, can we get Gears of War?
No, son, we have Gears of War right at home.
This is terrible. The standout in this section is easily the vertical cover. It's pretty sick having enemies on this axis shooting and hiding other than just a horizontal plane, but it gets pretty nauseating at times. Anytime I had to go down in cover, I felt a pit in my stomach, harder than the pit that Capcom felt financially after releasing this game. But don't worry, because soon this game is going to take off with even more dull story. So with Will getting his jetpack, he also meets this character Atem, and I think they're going to be doing something really important with him. They set him up with harnessing the power of the atom. Atem, you see where I'm getting at? It's clever. They don't even do that. Oh, also forgot to mention, this game takes place in World War II, and these aliens known as the Watchers are actually funding the fascists in World War II. So let me get this straight. You have this super advanced alien species with this incredibly advanced tech, and all you get them is basically a paper plane in comparison. Dude, imagine like going back to the caveman days and just handing a Neanderthal a Spider-Man comic book. So you also meet Nikola Tesla without really meeting him, and Dark Void does this a lot. Characters and weapons are introduced to someone or something in one scene, acknowledge nothing, and then act like it's brand new in the next. Like, bro, no movie would ever do this. Also, turns out Ava and Atem have a history together, and they've been planning this entire thing with Will, like both of them flying over the Bermuda Triangle, going into the void, but she didn't plan it would be him.
You knew this was gonna happen before we took off, right? That we'd end up here.
Yes, but I didn't know that you'd be the pilot.
What the f does that mean? Atem was in on it too. He says that Will has some mark, and this is just dumb.
Do you remember when we met?
Is this really important right now? It's at this point I tell you I haven't fully beaten Dark Void, but I'm guessing that the adepts Ava was talking about as she left Will is going to be brought up soon. And I bet you're wondering what those adepts are. See what I mean by having something recognized the second time it's introduced? It's f***ing annoying. But going back to my point, I think Will's going to end up being some chosen one figure, and here's my money betting on it. I'm only betting $1. There's also kind of this faux intellectualistic point when Will gets his iconic helmet. Atem says to Will that there's going to be a time where he has to part with this helmet, that he shouldn't get too attached to it. But that doesn't happen. The helmet just breaks. He doesn't part with it, it breaks. You could have done something. This helmet could have like controlled his mind. No, I'm expecting too much from this game. Oh, and these adepts don't lead to shit. I also forgot to mention that there's a duplicate of Nikola Tesla that kills the real Nikola Tesla. And I'm guessing that Atem is behind it too. Just a hunch. Turns out it's not, and it's this other guy named Tavi, who you met for like 2 scenes. Oh no, what a twist. He says to not close the void because more people are coming through, and then he throws a knife in Ava's back. When the f were people crossing the void? And back to this whole Chosen One Destiny plot, Will is supposed to be the key in closing the void, but you have no idea why. I guess Atem crossed the void, and then he meets with Will while he's sulking on a bench, and he gets Ava's ring and just tosses it into the water. But this whole thing was supposed to hint to like a sequel. Ha! If only. It's pretty funny how the intense gameplay music was playing during the somber moments than the credits. This happens a lot, and it's because Dark Void doesn't have adaptive music. This just means that whatever is happening in game, the music adapts to it. And whenever the music doesn't adapt, it completely takes me out of the experience. The only game that doesn't have adaptive music but is still phenomenal is Minecraft. Dark Void feels like an idea that was meant to be like a semi-indie game or a movie tie-in game for Iron Man, but then Capcom demanded a lot more from it, which explains Brad Pitt. In conclusion, overall, to summarize my thoughts, Dark Void deserves nothing more. I'm phoning it in just like how Dark Void phoned it in. For the 2 things that Dark Void does right, it does everything else completely uninspired. Dark Void feels completely void. It was clearly not given enough time, attention, or care to really flesh out elements like the story or even the visuals. There's no reason to play Dark Void over any other game you have. If you want to fly around in the game, just play a Lego game. It's a lot better and a lot more fun, and there's actually more stuff to do also. You want to shoot robots or aliens? Play Halo. Not a single aspect in Dark Void stands out properly that makes you want to play this game over something else. No matter how low a sale price is for this game, it's not worth your time, it's not worth your money, it's not worth the slot in your Steam library. You're better off spending your money at a VTuber concert.
They're disrespecting. Wait, let's get to the bad part. Look.
The reason why Dark Void is forgotten is because there's not a reason to remember it.